Alright, what's up y'all? So today we get to start making a 3D object out of clay. So I'm going to be making BB-8 from Star Wars, and you can follow along with your object or your sculpture that we planned in class, and I'm excited to see how these turned out. So let's just flip this over to see what we are creating. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is to create the armature, or the thing underneath it that's going to support it. And this is for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't want my clay to be filling the whole thing because that's going to use too much clay and I don't need to waste it. And number two, that is going to make it super heavy because clay is pretty dense. So I'm kind of measuring out right now the amount of wire I need, and I gave you guys a certain amount, so you're going to have to fit inside that restriction. But I'm going to go, I think I want the bottom of the body to be about maybe a little bit bigger, about this big. So I'm going to cut it off right here. Now I'm using a wire cutter right here. So at home, if you have one, if like maybe your dad has some tools or your family has some tools, you can use those. If not, and let me just demonstrate actually to make sure you guys know you can do this, you got to be careful because it heats up the wire a lot. So if it starts to get too hot for you, slow down and then start again. But if you bend it and then bend it the other way, and do that a few times, it'll break. And that's the cool thing about wire, is it's generally pretty breakable and the molecules in there separate pretty easily. So if you just bend it back and forth enough, you'll get it to break. And now for the shaping. So I'm going to shape this over here. And again, you can use your hands for this as well, but for the sake of time in this tutorial, I'm going to use my pliers to make it go a little bit faster. And then I'm just going to kind of link them up at the top, and I'll tie them together with a smaller gauge of wire that I'll show you in a minute. Right now I'm just trying to get the rough shape of a circle, and I can change this a little bit once I start putting my clay on there, but a lot of the shape is we want to get it right on the first time so that we don't have to shift around a whole structure once there's clay on it and paper inside of it and all of that. So I'm going to get my roughly circular shape. If you need to, you can put it on another circle to measure it. That one's a little too small. Use the bottom of this. You can use a cup at your home if you're making a circle, and just kind of match up the wire, squeeze it around there until it matches this roughly circular shape. So I have one circle. Now I'm just going to make another one. Next, I'm going to take my small wire, and with this one, I'm just going to cut off a couple short lengths, because my goal with this, and this one you can also break by bending back and forth a lot. This one's going to break easier, so I'm not going to do that for you in this session. So I have a weak spot right here where they're not connected, and I have a weak spot here. So what I want to do for mine is I want to put the weak spot on one of them. On the other side is where it is on the first one. That was kind of a confusing way to say that. I want to put one on the top, one on the bottom. And then I'm going to use the smaller wire. I'm not going to use the very end as it's going to cut into my thumb, but I'm going to take it a little bit of the way down, and then we can finish that last piece in a minute, and then just start wrapping it around these two to hold them in place. We have this part done, and I'm going to cut to a quick intermission because I have to go teach a class, and I will finish this video in a little bit. I'm going to start wrapping. So once you've got them connected, this does not have to be the most secure thing in the world, but try to make it as secure as you can. This is going to form the base of the structure of our object. So again, this is not perfect, but we now have a base of a sphere. Now, again, a lot of this, the goal of this is to make sure the entire thing is not just clay, because that will make it really, really heavy, and also it's going to use up all your clay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this inside space with newspaper, or extra paper, or junk paper, or honestly even magazine. Alright, I thought I had masking tape, but alas, it appears as if I do not. So we're going to be using Scotch tape, which does not work as well, but it is still workable. So my goal now is just to wrap this into the shape that I want it, so it stays as a sphere and not some weird wrinkly thing. So we have a ball shape. I'm going to start pressing it into the table, see if we can roll it into a little bit of a better ball. Alright, so my phone died and I was not able to capture some of the video of this creation, but so far here's our little BB-8. I know it looks a little weird right now, but it's in the process of being made. So this top part is solid clay. I know you didn't get to see that being made, but I basically rolled a ball and then squished it into the table to make a flat bottom that I could stick onto this bigger ball. Now, you'll also notice that there are cracks all over here. And that is because this air dry clay shrinks as it dries. So I was expecting that, and that's why I saved a little bit of extra clay in here. So I'm going to add this clay, stuff it into the cracks, and let that dry again, and then we're going to paint over it. And I'm not going to show you the whole painting process because, again, this happened pretty quickly, and I want you guys to be able to start making your stuff. So maybe I'll show you like the first coat or however much I can get done today. But right now, we're going to start filling in these cracks and getting it ready. You'll notice I put the main eye on BB-8. There's another small one right here. I might put that with clay, but I might just paint it on, honestly. And then a lot of the designs and things like that, I'm going to paint on once it's finished. But depending on what you're making, you might want to cut that out of clay and then apply it onto here. So without further ado, let's get started. As I'm getting on the edges, I'm smoothing this out so it doesn't look like a whole separate piece of clay. So every part that I see an edge, like right here, I'm just going to take it with my finger and smooth it out towards the edge. And then I'm going to try to keep these fillings kind of thick so that when it shrinks again when it dries, it doesn't crack quite as much. Alright, and there you have it. Also, plan ahead, y'all. I can't suggest that enough. Plan ahead. This leaving of extra clay, I pretty much used up all of it, so that was a very helpful thing. This is our finished beginning model. It's still pretty rough. If you want to take more time on yours, honestly, I think I made this one a little bit too big, so I didn't have enough clay to pad it out or fill in the parts that should be more round. So I have some flat spots, other than the one on the bottom, obviously, so it can stand up. But as he's rolling along, this is kind of what he's going to look like. And we're going to paint him, make him look all complete, and that is our project. So let's move on to that step real quick. Here is the first iteration. This is the first coat of paint on our little BB-8. Don't look at this side, that's gross. But we're going to look at him probably from about here. I'm going to put his orange circles on, put his black eye, his other one down there, and his gray detailing inside the circles. And we'll have a 3D model. So, awesome. Go make some stuff.